Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Finance Chat with myself. Today, I've got the lovely Wendy Brown from Macquarie Bank to have a chat to us about all things Macquarie Bank. Hi, Wendy, how are you?
Hi, Dien. Honoured to be here. I see I'm here for the 5th anniversary of Finance and Coffee. I did some research January 5 years ago. You kicked off this amazing community. So I'm very honoured. I think we should have
Well,
balloons or something, Dien. Do you think?
well, yeah, let's. You know what? I'll try to get some. That's a good idea. I totally forgot about that. It's weird, isn't it? Because social media reminds us of things which as you go through the day, it doesn't compute, and then it pops up and you go, oh wow, I can't believe it's been that long. But in all honesty, thanks to you guys as well, because you guys were one of the first lenders to be a sponsor of ours. So I'm very humble and grateful that you guys took a punt on us. And here we are. Down the track, we've got 9,100 members. So it's no longer a small little group anymore. It's a bigger family. But we're not here to talk about us. We're here to talk about you. So, so if you just bear with me for a moment, what I'm going to do is every time I'm going to ask you a question, I've got some talking points that will appear down on the screen.
Right.
But I think what I love to ask you about is what have you guys been doing in the last 12 to 18 months? Simply because obviously we're stuck in a pandemic, and you guys consistently come on inside the group as the community as brokers, going, hey, you guys have been doing this awesome job here, there. You guys have maintained position number one on our lender traffic light, which we'll go into a bit later on. But you've just been consistent, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. We love being boringly consistent. It is a goal. But where we should start is actually how impressive the brokers have been the last 12 and 18 months. They're truly amazing what they've done and how they've thrived and succeeded, as you say, in quite a challenging time. The thing I think I'm really proud of is the industry and the brokers and how important they were in making sure the customers were comfortable through quite a worrying time. But they did such an amazing job of holding the hands of the customers to make sure they were confident when they potentially could have been anxious. So I'm super proud of the industry we're in and the brokers who look after all our customers. Also really thankful, and I'm thankful for the foundations that Macquarie had in place. It was way before, or a few years before actually, the pandemic, that we set up some great foundations that set us in good stead. Things like DocuSign and remote ID. It really showed that setting up for success and moving to where the industry is going is important. But it was great for having DocuSign when we needed to sign mortgage documents and we weren't allowed, potentially some of the Melbourne team weren't allowed out of their houses, that DocuSign could still help our customers to refinance or get that purchase that they were in love with. So we were really excited about that foundation that set us up for success. The other thing over the last 12 months, we've continued to work on our culture. Our culture is an agile methodology. Some of you would go, I don't even know what that is. Some of you may. But the key thing about agile culture is taking lots of feedback from brokers, from customers, and actually prioritising it. So if we hear consistent feedback, we'll go in and fix that issue or opportunity for us to look after a broker in a better way. Key example of that during the pandemic was curbside valuations. Curbside valuations weren't a key part of our valuation policy, but we realised when you couldn't do home inspections, it was really important for us to still be able to fulfil the purchase and refinance needs of the customer. So we were able to pivot our policy and our process so brokers could use curbside valuations and still look after the customer. And finally, I've been inspired. Our brokers and their businesses and our customers have absolutely thrived with the support of the brokers throughout these 2 years. They've taken their businesses to new levels. I think we often see from the Finance and Coffee community great records that have been broken or businesses expanding and hiring new staff. So I've been absolutely inspired by the industry and our brokers, and I'm excited to see what actually comes next.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Now that brings me to the next subject, right? the AFR brought this up, right? And it was pretty funny because it came up and it said that one of your competitors was trying to be you. And I think one of the, I suppose, it's a huge compliment, right? When someone tries to copy you. So doing a Macquarie, and that's, and I've actually used that term now myself. But, you got to do a Macquarie because otherwise it's mediocre if you don't. Now, if you just don't mind, what I'm going to do is share something with you and obviously the audience. This will be the first time the audience has actually seen this. Now, the audience usually sees what we call a SLA table. So they know when, where every bank is doing in terms of a first pickup is. And I'm using AMP as an example because of the AFR article was about AMP. Unfortunately, it ended up being about Macquarie. Unfortunately for AMP, I mean. And, where this sheet actually tracks the lenders since September. Now, your competitors like this, whereas you guys have been painstakingly, boringly good. All right. Now, across the board, it is only a 1 day within a 1 day pickup, and that's what we see now. With regards to where, how do I put it? Where the brokers see it, you guys dominated the number one spot pretty much the whole time, apart from 1 week, right? And that in that week, when you didn't actually dominate it, it was because I accidentally put another lender with the incorrect SLA time, and I had to speak to them and basically say that's not remove it, and they took the number one spot for 1 week only. So doing Macquarie, how does your bank, how does you guys view that as I suppose you call it a spontaneous marketing catchphrase?
Oh, we truly appreciate the support because that's what it is, the support we get from the brokers, and really that they are advocates for us. As you know, this has been a long journey. So doing a Macquarie is not something that happens overnight, and we're really humbled actually by a comment like that because it actually brings together a lot of hard work. This journey's been long. So we were rebuilding our platform in 2015, and over the last few years, we've really worked hard on our people, process, and technology because you're not a success unless you have all those. You've got to have great people, easy to do business with processes, and smooth technology that helps the broker to make you a success. And we've been investing in those three things for a long time, but we haven't always got it right. There have been times when we face challenges and we know we've missed the mark, but it's been the great feedback and time that brokers have given us that we've actually been able to face into it and find a solution. But they're long journeys, Dien. They're not something that just turns up. And each week we're slowly innovating to make it a bit better every single week. And that's what we focus on. So it's people, process, and technology, and always listening to the broker and slowly responding to that to make sure we deliver the outcome for them, but also the outcome so brokers look great in front of their customers, which we know is so important. And we're really excited about what's next on that journey as well.
Okay, Wendy, so my next question for you, obviously Macquarie Bank is geared up to look after the broker, to make the broker look good, and so forth, right? You're giving the brokers the tools to do that, especially through the pandemic. Now, it's interesting to compare you to other lenders or your competitors, right? Because a lot of lenders say we support brokers, we are, with everything, you see it at PD days and so forth, we support brokers. But you guys did one better than pretty much everyone else, right? And this one, I do need to say, you're actually using a real broker in your ad campaigns. This is to the public media side, I mean. So what sort of, I suppose, led you to do that? Because this is not the first time we're talking about. There's a video recently, was it you, the last couple of years ago, or was it last year, you also used another broker in New South Wales?
Yep. Absolutely. But to give context, so brokers are our absolute lifeblood. So 90% of all home loans that come into Macquarie are broker. And it really shows we have to be a committed partner to the industry because you're 9 out of 10 customers that are actually coming to Macquarie and experiencing the great Macquarie experience. So without brokers, we actually wouldn't be nearly as successful as we are. So they are our absolute lifeblood. as you've talked about, Dien, in a few of your conversations, I was listening to your podcast, so it's 2 out of 3 customers actually are going to brokers now, and that's an amazing achievement. So that's the other piece that really drives us, is it's where customers are seeking their finance. So it's important that we listen to the customer market and make sure we're supporting the industry in which the customers are really seeking to get their confidence and their assurity through a broker experience. So we're proud to be part of it, but it is 9 out of 10 of our customers come from the broker industry. To give you an understanding of Bridget and Deanna, our 2 fabulous brokers who are willing to put their face to our brand, which we're really proud of and quite humbled actually that they're willing to put, because they both run amazing businesses, that they're willing to put their brand with ours. They are great advocates for us. But it actually started right at the beginning, and a great proof point for us was after the Royal Commission. We all remember that day when the findings got handed down. Within 24 hours, we had a national campaign out there, billboards, radio, and media, actually talking about the broker and how much we supported the industry. And we got great feedback from the brokers that it was quite reassuring to have a brand out there overtly supporting them. And we've continued that through to today. You'll hear radio ads talking about Macquarie and talk to your broker. I get feedback all the time from my 11-year-old daughter about YouTube ads that talk to your broker. So it's great to hear it's resonating with 11-year-old daughters as well. So I'm really proud that we're out there consistently and also supporting your finance and coffee community. I know Deanna and Bridget are strong members of your community as well. So it's great that we're all pulling together to represent to customers and to the market what a great industry, because we are really building a really rewarding relationship for our customers, for our broker, and for the industry.
That's pretty awesome to hear, Wendy. Now, my next question, though, as to you, is that, you know, education seems to be at the forefront of the broker industry at the moment. You can see a lot of, I suppose even at PD days and so forth, the wording and so forth has changed from sponsors to educational partner. Now, you guys have always been pretty good with regards to communicating to your broker network with regards to what you're doing in terms of products, in terms of policies and so forth. You've recently launched something called your broker portal to assist the broker networks to basically do better. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about a labour of love from me and hundreds of other people and brokers to make this a success, Dien. So this has been a labour of love for quite a few years, and it actually went live in February last year, and it's the Macquarie Broker Portal, which we're very proud of, and there's 13,000 users already in there. So we put them on in tranches so that we could learn each time a new group of fabulous brokers joined the portal. And 60% of our brokers are actually already in there using it. What you didn't see though is the 6 months before it. So we had it in pilot program for 6 months. And we can't thank the brokers who helped us in that pilot enough. We had everything from big offices like Sarah Thompson down in Geelong, through to one-man bands, so that we made sure that the broker portal actually suited each of those businesses. It wasn't just to suit a certain type of broker, because we understand broker businesses are different, but they also evolve over time. So it was really important that we spent 6 months really taking that feedback on, having daily meetings and daily improvement to make sure it met the needs when we were putting those 13,000 brokers actually onto the portal. When we were looking at building it though, we very much looked at what brokers wanted and what they needed. So if we look at what brokers wanted, the key feedback was to have clear information about existing customers. So things like security, property, interest rate, to give them the confidence on a Tuesday afternoon when the customer rings them, that they can look on their mobile, because it's mobile enabled, and actually have those details. Instead of having to hang up the phone, ring, or do something else, they could confidently have a conversation with their customers. So that was really what brokers wanted. What we thought they needed, and it's a bit of a humble brag because brokers said they didn't want this, was application tracking. They tell us we're speedy enough. Bit of a humble brag, but what we love is that they can see the application tracking through. And lots of officers have told us they didn't think they wanted it, but they did realise they needed it, because it gives them the transparency to talk to their customers. Especially understanding if a file, the ball's in our court at Macquarie, so we're waiting on evaluation to return, or it's in a queue, or if it's back in the broker's court. So we're asking for a pay slip or an additional piece of information from the broker. So it gives them that great clarity. But that was all based on the broker's feedback of how they wanted to see it and how they wanted their pipeline represented. The most important bit is what we're excited about next. So like all things, we continue to innovate. That's our starting point. And now we're going to be adding even more. And the next thing you'll see is actually transparency around documents. Because as you know, lots of brokers, they're often calling saying, did you receive my email? Did you see the item uploaded into NextGen? So this will give real transparency of whether we did receive it or whether it needs to be sent in again. So it is a labour of love, but it's only been engaging and resonating with brokers because of all the hours and time the brokers have put into this portal as well.
That's awesome. Now, I suppose that's the next talking points is a nice segue to it, because obviously in the last 2 years as the pandemics hit, and then you talk about innovation, tech, and so forth, because it's accelerated everyone's effort to, I suppose you can call it, work remotely. What are you guys? What have you got next that's coming or is already in trials right now, which is pretty exciting? That will make the broker a superstar, basically.
Well, more of the same, but even better. So hopefully a lot of you saw a tool we released to brokers in December. It's called the Broker Help Centre. So that's what we're calling it. But what the feedback we've had from brokers is that it's more like a Macquarie broker Google. So it's a place where any broker, it isn't password locked. It's for any office staff member or broker who can go in and put in any question that related to being a broker or policy or process or even commissions. They can go in and put the question in and a succinct, clear answer pops up. At the moment, we have 250 questions or articles in there, and 12,000 individual questions have been answered already. But the key for us is this is the starting point. So I've got 250 articles, another 40 are going in this month. And that's, again, based from brokers telling us, oh, there's this question that does pop up and I can't remember it because I've got a few lenders on my panel. So we're adding questions month on month every time we get that feedback, or we're clarifying it. If we're not using the right broker language, we go back in and change the language so it's more clear for brokers to understand and explain to customers. So that's what we've done with brokers. So that'll be a great iteration. For customers, Dien, after 6 months, 2 years, their needs and wants have actually changed. So we're really focusing on that customer experience to make the brokers look good. One of the key pieces of feedback we found was there was an opportunity to improve the process to open offset accounts, because that is something that does change. And on internet and mobile banking now, a customer can do with one click, open an offset account, because you do open and close offset accounts as your needs change. So it's great that that's occurred. The other piece we're hearing in the market is around safety and security. So what we have launched is an app which is called Macquarie Authenticator. And so that gives customers real-time control of payments. It's a separate app from the mobile banking app. And whenever you do a transaction or, a payment, then it wants to authenticate. If we need to authenticate it, you have real-time control. And the key is it's not a text message, it's not an email, it's actually an approval decline. So it really puts the control back into the customer's hands. But as I said at the beginning, more of the same, keep improving our digital offering and making it easier to make sure we make the brokers look good. The other piece that we are seeing that we will evolve to is the digital ID. So another tech improvement. When we see the opportunities to be even more streamlined with your applications with Macquarie, one of the pieces we notice is ID is quite challenging. So we'll be moving to digital ID in the near future as well, Dien. Lots of innovation coming.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome, because I'm not sure if the audience remembers this, but you guys were one of the first to offer, I suppose you can call it an ID via toll in the old days. Yep. That you can, I used it as well, where I basically liaise with the client and the toll person to meet at a McDonald's car park to get them ID, right? It's pretty ridiculous. And then obviously now we're in the tech is so far up, and we've got, OCR technology. Basically, this is this is going to be awesome coming through, so that it allows the broker to do, I suppose you could say, less work, but it's more secure, more safe work. Yeah, because you're not going to make a mistake.
It helps them control the application a bit more and gives them time and confidence, Dien. You can really see by having upfront vals, upfront CCR, digital ID, it helps brokers be confident about the process and know that it definitely is a Macquarie deal. And when they're having conversations with that customer, I just think it gives them, the customer feels that it resonates, that they're confident that it is a Macquarie deal and it'll be successful.
I just love to have, one last question for you. Obviously, crystal ball, we can't ask those questions, but we could, it's because otherwise you can tell me what the lotto numbers are for next week, because it's $120 million, I think, on Powerball.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah, it would be great. But what are your plans for the broker market? Can we get a little bit of an insight there?
Oh, absolutely. I think more of the same, but even better, is what we're really focusing on, making sure the things we've delivered actually look after the brokers even more and their customers. So you'll see improvements in the Broker Help Centre and in the broker portal. So as I've mentioned, we'll iterate continually. But as I've talked about, people, process and technology are the things we always invest in and focus on. So people, we've already hired 10 more BDMs to be out there supporting, but we've spent the last year actually freeing up their time to make sure they have more time to spend on you and on your business. But we'll continue to invest there. We are always investing in our credit and support teams to make sure that we're actually built for the future. Instead of being built for the volume coming in today, we're actually built for what we are aiming to deliver in 12 months' time or 6 months' time. So it's really making sure that boringly consistent confidence that we give you, we continue to deliver, which is really, really important. On the process, we're continually looking at the process. And as I mentioned, digital ID, the first iteration is likely to be the first step. We're continually looking at your process to make sure it fits in. So digital ID we're aiming longer term for it to be part, hopefully, of integration into your processes as well. So the process and the technology go hand in hand to give you and your customers confidence. So we're excited about the investments on people, process and technology into the new year, Dien, and we'll see lots of innovation and improvements to help you.
We're in the pandemic, we're in the next, I suppose you call it, tech leap. You need those tools to be able to service your customers anywhere. And it's really awesome to hear that you guys are looking at that.
Yeah. If we can give time, control and confidence back to the brokers throughout the process, it makes them look great to the customers. And that's what our goal is, Dien.
Yep, and that's all they can ask for. If you make them look great, they'll love you, and that's what they're doing. I'm also looking forward to seeing you guys, maintain the #1 spot on our SLA turnaround times as well. But apart from that, it's you guys are exceedingly awesome, consistent. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your advocacy, Dien. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you, and I hope to have you back on another chat later on this year.
Okay, look forward to it, and thank you again for the opportunity